All praise to you.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today I want to take us to the fourth canto, to the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, the 8th chapter, text 54. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that, or it mentions in the Chaitanya Bhagavad that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read these pastimes more than 100 times. So in this way, they were especially dear to the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Uryadravya mayim buddha.
Uryadravya mayim buddha.
Saparyam vividar dravya.
Saparyam vividar dravya.
Dise kala vibhagave. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Kuryadravya mayim buddha.
Uryadravya mayim buddha.
Saparyam vividar dravya.
Saparyam vividar dravya.
Isikala vibhagave.
Deshakala vibhagave.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Uryadravya mayim buddha.
Uryadravya mayim buddha.
Saparyam vividhaya dravyai.
Saparyam vividar dravya.
Deshakala vibhagavit.
Deshakala vibhagave.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Mantrena nena devasya.
Uryadravya mayim buddha.
Uryadravya mayim buddha.
Saparyam vividar dravya.
Saparyam vividar dravya.
Deshakala vibhagave.
Deshakala vibhagave.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Kanana Devasya.
Kanana Devasya. Puryadravyamayim Buddha. Sapayam Vidyadravya. Deshakala Vibhagavit.
Ladies.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Mantrena Nena Devasya.
Mantrena Nena Devasya.
Puryadravyamayim Buddha.
Puryadravyamayim Buddha.
Sapayam Vividadravya.
Sapayam Vidyadravya.
Deshakala Vibhagave.
Deshakala Vibhagavit.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Mantrena Nena Devasya.
Mantrena Nena Devasya.
Puryadravyamayim Buddha.
Puryadravyamayim Buddha.
Sapayam Vividadravya.
Sapayam Vidyadravya.
Deshakala Vibhagave.
Deshakala Vibhagavit.
Oh my Lord. Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. Bhagavate.
Bhagavate.
Unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Unto the Supreme Lord Vasudeva.
Unto the Supreme Lord Vasudeva.
Mantrena.
Mantrena.
By this hymn or mantra.
By this hymn or mantra.
Anena.
Anena.
This.
This.
Devasya.
Devasya.
Of the Lord.
Of the Lord.
Kurya.
Kurya.
One should do.
One should do.
Dravyamayim.
Dravyamayim.
Physical.
Physical.
Buddha.
Buddha.
One with learning.
One is learned.
Sapayam.
Sapayam.
Worship by the prescribed method.
Worship by the prescribed method.
Vivideva.
Vidaiva.
With varieties.
With varieties.
Dravya.
Dravya.
Paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia.
Desha.
Desha.
According to country.
According to country.
Kala.
Kala.
Time.
Time.
Vibhagave.
Vibhagavit.
One who knows the divisions.
One who knows the divisions.
Translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the 12-syllable mantra for worshipping Lord Krishna. One should install the physical forms of the Lord, and with the chanting of the mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits and other varieties of foodstuffs, exactly according to the rules and regulations prescribed by authorities. But this should be done in consideration of place, time, and attendant conveniences and inconveniences. Purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is known as the Dvadasaksara mantra. The mantra is chanted by Vaishnava devotees and it begins with Pranav or Omkara. There is an injunction that those who are not Brahmanas cannot pronounce the Pranav mantra. But Dhruva Maharaj was born Kshatriya. He at once admitted before Narada Muni that as a Kshatriya he was unable to accept Narada's instructions of renunciation and mental equilibrium, which are the concern of a Brahmana. Still, although not a Brahmana but a Kshatriya, Dhruva was allowed on the authority of Narada to pronounce the Pranav Omkara. This is very significant, especially in India, because Brahmanas object greatly when persons from other castes who are not born in Brahmana families recite this Pranav mantra. But there is tacit proof that if a person accepts the Vaishnava mantra or Vaishnava way of worshipping the deity, he is allowed to chant the Pranav mantra. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord personally accepts that anyone, even one of a low species, can be elevated to the highest position and go back home, back to Godhead, simply if he worships properly. The prescribed rules as stated here by Narada Muni are that one should accept the mantra through a bona fide spiritual master and hear the mantra in the right ear. Not only should one chant or murmur the mantra, but in front of him he must have the deity or physical form of the Lord. Of course, when the Lord appears, it's no longer a physical form. For example, when an iron rod is made red hot in a fire, it's no longer iron, it's fire. Similarly, when we make a form of the Lord, whether of wood, stone, or metal, or jewels, or paint, or even a form within the mind, it is a bona fide spiritual transcendental form of the Lord. Not only must one receive the mantra from the bona fide spiritual master like Narada Muni, or his representative in the disciplic succession, but one must chant the mantra. And not only must one chant, but he should also offer whatever foodstuff is available in his part of the world, according to time and convenience. The method of worship, chanting the mantra and preparing the forms of the Lord, is not stereotyped, nor is it exactly the same everywhere. It is specifically mentioned in this verse that one should take consideration of the time, place, and available conveniences. Our Krishna consciousness movement is going on throughout the entire world, and we also install deities in different centers. Sometimes our Indian friends, puffed up with concocted notions, criticize, this has not been done, that has not been done. But they forget this instruction of Narada Muni to one of the greatest Vaishnavas, Dhruva Maharaj, one who has to consider the particular time, country, and conveniences. What is convenient in India may not be convenient in the Western countries. Those are not actually in the line of acharyas, or who personally have no knowledge of how to act in the role of acharya, unnecessarily criticize the activities of the ISKCON movement in countries outside of India. The fact is that such critics cannot do anything personally to spread Krishna consciousness. If someone does go and preach, taking all risks and allowing all considerations for time and place, it might be that there are changes in the manner of worship, but that is not at all faulty according to Shastra. Srimad Veera Raghav Acharya, an Acharya in the disciplic succession of the Ramanuja Sampradaya, has remarked in his commentary that Chandalas, or conditioned souls who are born in the lower than Sudra families, can also be initiated according to circumstances. The formality may be slightly changed here and there to make them Vaishnavas. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that his name should be heard in every nook and corner of the world. How is this possible unless one preaches everywhere? The cult of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhagavad Dharma, and he especially recommends Krishna Katha, or the cult of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He recommends that every Indian, considering this task to be para upakar, or welfare activity, take the Lord's message to other residents of the world. Other residents of the world does not refer only to those who are exactly like the Indian Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, or like the caste Brahmanas, who claim to be Brahmanas, because they were born in the families of Brahmanas. The principle that only Indians and Hindus should be taught, should be brought into the Vaishnava cult is a mistaken idea. There should be propaganda to bring everyone to the Vaishnava cult. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for this purpose. There is no bar to propagating the Krishna consciousness movement, even among people who are born in Chandala, Malecha, or Yavana families. Even in India, this point has been enunciated by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his book Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is Smriti and is the authorized Vedic guide for Vaishnavas in their daily behavior. Sanatana Goswami says that as bell metal can turn to gold when mixed with mercury in a chemical process, so by the bona fide diksha or initiation method, anyone can become a Vaishnava. One should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, coming in the disciplic succession, who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. This is called Diksha Vidhana. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Vyapasritya, one should accept a spiritual master. By this process, the entire world can be converted to Krishna consciousness. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyananana Sadakaya Shatsuranimitangya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manodistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Swadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gora Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So yesterday we heard from Sachinandan Maharaj about Ajita Jitto, how to conquer the unconquerable by taking up the mission of the Lord. And as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, especially those devotees who take up the mission to preach Krishna consciousness, they are Priya Kritama, very dear to the Lord. Then in the discussion at the end of the class, Bhakti Granta brought up this point of empowerment, that we don't always feel empowered, and there was some discussion on that, and I thought that we pick up that thread there of empowerment and sort of carry on in this way. Since we are now taking random verses, I thought then I should take some sort of thread so that we continue in our meditation. So then I was thinking about an example of empowerment, and naturally Dhruva Maharaj came to my mind, because Dhruva Maharaj became so powerful, so incredibly powerful that it was just astonishing. Dhruva was a young boy, 5 years old, so basically not powerful. Of course, he had a character which was certainly powerful. He was a very determined person. He was a kshatriya, and he was had an extremely fixed mind. That was quite sure, exceptionally so. But how to direct such a mind? Yes, some may have a weak mind, some may have a strong mind, some people cannot focus at all, some can certainly focus very nicely, and that is due to previous activities, that is due to karma. So some may have a mind that is always peaceful, others may have a mind that is always disturbed, and most of us have a mind that is often disturbed and sometimes peaceful, but it sort of goes up and down. Right? Focusing the mind for most is not so easy, but somehow or other we try like that. And I'm now not even speaking about focusing on the holy name. I just say some focus in life. Just a focus in life. Where are we going? I don't know. It's just sort of, I don't know. I'm living. Right? I'm just living. No. A conscious decision of what to do with one's life. Sometimes we say like that, before becoming Krishna conscious, we should first become conscious. That would help if we sort of are conscious of, and take charge of our life, instead of being a ball on the waves of the three modes of material nature that throw us here and throw us there, and wherever the senses are drawn, we run like a madman or woman. And in this way, here we go here and there without any real purpose. So the first question is, what is our purpose in life? Then, Brahmanda Brahmiti Kone Bhagyavana Jeev, when we are fortunate by the association of a Vaishnava, then actually we can understand our purpose of life. to be not a temporary purpose in this material world, but to be an eternal purpose. So immediately we become empowered. Immediately we become empowered by knowledge. By the association of the Vaishnavas, we do not just become empowered by transcendental knowledge, but also by faith. It is in the association of the Vaishnavas that some faith grows in that knowledge. We're receiving transcendental knowledge, and at the same time, because this Vaishnava has faith in this knowledge and is living by this knowledge, therefore that knowledge is empowered. Therefore, the conviction comes along with it. It's not only that we hear the words that people say, but their faith also, or their doubt also comes with it. So people can transfer doubt, they can transfer faith upon others. Therefore, it is said that Avaishnava mukhat girnam. It said one should not hear from the non-Vaishnava. Even when the non-Vaishnava speaks about Krishna conscious philosophy, one should not hear, because sarbuchista, it is milk touched by the lips of a snake. It's nice milk. Yeah, nice milk. But it's a little poisonous also. Milk is good for you, but the poison may kill. So hearing from non-Vaishnavas will not be helpful, even if it is about Krishna. Because the faith is lacking. So it's not just the knowledge, it's about Krishna. No, it's not just that it is about Krishna. We must hear from one who is serving Krishna with faith, and subsequently that will be transferred to us. So here begins empowerment. Ado Shraddha. First that initial faith will come as a gift from a Vaishnava and the Supreme Lord. Guru Krishna Prasada Paya, both. Dharmam to Saksa Bhagavat Pranitam. True religious principles begin with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Transcendental knowledge begins there. And the spiritual masters, they take that transcendental knowledge from the Supreme Lord and then apply it according to Kala Desa Patra, according to time, place, and circumstance. And that is all elaborated in this verse. So then, one comes in contact with a Vaishnava. And Vaishnavas are never alone. Vaishnavas live in a community of Vaishnavas. If not, although there may be some Vaishnavas who are practicing near Janabhajan, physically they may be alone, but such Vaishnavas are internally always connected to all the previous acharyas and are internally respecting all the Vaishnavas. So even those Vaishnavas who appear to be alone live in community of Vaishnavas. Within community of Vaishnavas, we become empowered because because the Vaishnavas, they are the caretakers of the Kalyana Kalpataru. That is explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that devotional service is a Kalyana Kalpataru, an auspicious, wish-fulfilling desire tree. He said, I received this tree from my spiritual master, but due to my harsh mind, I didn't really take care of this devotional service very properly. And as a result, the tree has dried up. Now the tree of devotional service has dried up. But the Vaishnavas, they are the caretakers of that tree. And therefore, within their association, that tree becomes rejuvenated. So this is the reason why the association of the Vaishnavas is empowering. That within the association of the Vaishnavas, there is the treasure of devotional service, and they are the caretakers. Like I sometimes refer to a personal experience when I finally joined the Hare Krishna movement. I was contemplating for a long time, actually. I didn't jump in rashly, but because I was wondering, the philosophy, yes, but such a movement, do I really want to be part of that? I wasn't sure. And when I finally made that decision, then I was thinking, it's going to be wonderful. Because I will be in the association of like-minded people. So it will be very inspiring, that association. And then, one of the first things I noticed, that this one person who I always thought was the epitome of everything that I thought one shouldn't be, you know, just that one person who I thought, he has all the qualities one shouldn't have, he also joined the Hare Krishna movement. And that was a shock, because now I was stuck with him. It's just like, I thought, how do I deal with this, you know, like, so the association of devotees, on the one hand, is supposed to be empowering, and on the other hand, I was there looking at him, it's like, is this the one who is gonna give me inspiration? But just looking at him is already sort of difficult for me. What to speak of having a conversation and then taking a step further. I mean, developing a relationship of mutual friendship and respect, I mean, really. But I was already, but here was the philosophy, which was indeed recommending that we are developing such relationships. So I was immediately getting seriously purified. So one thing I understood is that in the association of devotees, that the association of devotees is not only about becoming inspired by the devotees. You know, it's so inspiring being. It is also about becoming purified in the association of devotees. Right? That there, it all comes out in the wash. That in that somehow or other, in that interaction, so even when it's not so inspiring, then purifying, then we can take shelter of Vaishnava behavior. So this is empowering. Now Dhruva Maharaj certainly had some exceptional determination, some good karma in that. But to focus that determination is not so easy. We see he wanted a kingdom greater than his father and grandfather and so on, and so his focus was wrong. His mother was instructing him, when he was not allowed to sit on the lap of his father, to go to the forest, or rather first he said, there's no one who can help you. The only one who can help you is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, I'll go there. Where is he? Where do I find him? They say he's in the forest. Okay, that's where I'm going, to the forest. So Dhruva went to the forest, very determined. And then Narada Muni, who saw that here is a very young boy who's exceptionally determined, that is a good quality if we connect this with Krishna. So Narada Muni came, and Narada Muni appeared before Dhruva, and Narada Muni began to instruct Dhruva. And the first thing Narada Muni said is that it's very good that your mother instructed you to engage in devotional service, because indeed it is through devotional service that you will attain everything. So there it began. Narada Muni sort of sharpened the good instruction that the mother gave. It was some sort of general thing, you know, you can only take shelter of the Lord, and Narada translated that for Dhruva. Devotional service. Take shelter of the Lord. Now, very good. What your mother said. Mother didn't say devotional service, but Narada translated it and made it more focused. So the spiritual master immediately gives us a focus. Tamal Krishna Maharaj mentioned to me that the duty of a spiritual master is to give someone a greater vision about their life than they would come up with on their own. I really liked it. I instantly memorized it. So it was just touché, to the point. So Narada immediately gave a greater vision. And in this way the empowerment was there. The empowerment wasn't that Narada tapped him on the head and that Narada just simply said, and now, O Dhruva, you will be able to speak the highest truth. Later, the Supreme Personality of Godhead did touch Dhruva on the head with a conch shell, and then Dhruva was able to speak beyond his limitations of age. So that additional empowerment came later. But first, simply Narada gave Dhruva a vision, and then he gave him instructions of what to practice. He gave him a sadhana. Sadhana means practice. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasananyagamina. One has to practice a process, not just make some mental adjustment and it's done. Oh no. We often feel, well, I have tried, I've made the adjustment now, and I'm sort of following a process. So, okay, I've done my part. No. Narada was making it very clear. Your part is very much there. Your surrender is not a one-time thing. It's not, okay, now you surrender once and there your empowerment is done. No, your surrender is an ongoing process, again and again. And here it is. Here is a mantra. So we see the mantra became the central element. But along with that mantra, Narada gave two other instructions. One, he gave him the instruction to perform Ashtanga Yoga. Which basically, if we simplify it for the sake of this lecture, because it's not a lecture about Ashtanga Yoga, then we go to the very essence of it, which is sense control. Basically, the essence is to control the senses and the mind. So Narada gave him basically a means to control the senses and mind. Then Narada told him to make a deity, and Dhruva made a deity of clay. Right there, just took some earth, and I don't think he was a great artist. I don't think he had studied various scriptures of how to make deities, so I don't suspect that the form of clay that he made was like the perfect likeness of Krishna. Like here on the altar we have lots of deities, and there are many Goras and many Nitais and many Jagannaths and so on, and they all look different. So then sometimes you have a white Krishna, sometimes a black Krishna, and you go like, but which one is the real Krishna? Right? It's like, which deity is actually empowered, which is the real Krishna? They're all the real Krishna, and they manifest in these forms and relate to us in these forms. So the Lord has made many arrangements in this material world through which we can connect with Him. Whenever we are in Vrindavan, it's another place, another means of empowerment. And Narada told Dhruva, go to Madhuvan. Not just the forest. His mother had said the forest. Narada sort of also, again, more focused there. Now, Madhuvan in the Holy Dham. Yes, you go there. So, immediately, just by being in that place, the empowerment was tremendous and essential. Just like Srila Prabhupada, who translated the same instructions that Narada gave to us for modern times, instead of giving us Astanga Yoga, gave us 4 regulative principles, which were, taking care of the sense control. We don't find any previous Acharya asking at the time of initiation, and what are the 4 regulative principles that you promise to follow for the rest of your life? No, it is Prabhupada who formulated these principles. But we find that in the Bhagavatam, at the point where Maharaj Pariksit was found Kali entering his kingdom, and where he found this blackish personality in royal robes, still with a stick in his hand next to the cow with broken legs, then Maharaj Pariksit was first inquiring to make sure that this person had not just arrived and taken a stick in his hand. He therefore asked the bull, so who did this? The bull said, it's hard to say. It could be providence, it could be my karma, it is hard to determine what is the truth. So it showed that even Dharma, it is said, at that time was a little bit unclear. But spoke many different possible causes. Anyway, at that point, Kali asked shelter. Kali surrendered to Maharaj Pariksit. Kali asked for a place to stay. And he got the places where gambling, intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex, and so on were going on. And couldn't find such places. And then was allowed to stay in the places where gold is stored, because gold corrupts, and so on, and leads to these other activities. All right. So, therefore, it is said wherever these 4 illicit activities are going on, this adharma is going on, there is the influence of Kali. The influence of Kali is a little bit described in the Mahabharata, in the story of Nala and Damayanti. And I'm not going to tell the whole story of Nala and Damayanti, this is a long story. But what happened was that Nala, somehow or other, was interested in Damayanti, while Indra, Surya and Agni also were interested in Damayanti. So there was some competition, there was a Swayamvar, and it was, and Nala was competing knowingly with the demigods. And ultimately she chose Nala. Long story short, then Indra had sort of accepted, the girl wanted Nala, girls are like that. So, whatever may be. So he was in peace with the outcome of the situation. But then Kali, the lowest of the celestials, came. And Kali just said to Indra, this is outrageous. I mean, this Nala didn't show any respect, no etiquette whatsoever. I mean, said, no. Indra said, no, it was okay, the girl, she wanted him, like it's girls. Yeah. No. Kali said, no. Maybe she wanted him, but Nala should have withdrawn out of etiquette. Indra said, you have a point. You have a point there. And then Kali said, why don't you grant me that I may punish him? Hindustan. Tatastu. So be it. So now so then a whole thing happened where Kali managed to possess Nala, and then comes the interesting part that Nala was acting in different ways, which I will not describe today. Nala was acting in different ways, and he was all the time thinking that he was making his own decisions. But the truth was, he was possessed by Kali, and Kali was controlling his positions. So this is how Kali works. So everyone in this age is possessed by Kali. Iti sodasakam nam nam Kali kalmasa nasanam. By chanting these 16 rounds, or these 16 syllables rather, of the holy name of Krishna, and then with 16 rounds, we become empowered. And the first part of that empowerment is that the influence of Kali, who is possessing us, will be destroyed. So actually, we regain control over our life. We again get some strength to actually take some decisions and to act of how we're going to act. Otherwise, no chance. Everyone is just captured and controlled, but they think they are in control. Isn't that interesting? I used to think I was totally in control. Reading the Bhagavad Gita, thinking, yes, I had been in India, thinking, yes, I know all this, while I was smoking cigarettes and blowing rings through rings. I remember that. Reading the Gita, yes, I understand all this. Now I understand one thing, that I don't understand all this, right? So the eyes have been opened by the spiritual master. Then, by a regular process of devotional service. Now, according to Kaladesa Patra, so whereas Dhruva lived in another era, we are living in this particular yuga, which is the age of Kali, predominated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Laghu Bhagavatamrita, written by Rupa Goswami, describes there are many Kali yugas, and there are incarnations of the Lord who also teach some form of Sankirtan. But it's not the same. It's not invested with that transcendental ecstasy which comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that empowerment is immediately there. Just chant Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gora Bhaktavinda, and immediately empowerment. Immediately. Where's the question I'm not empowered? So when devotees say they're not empowered, what's going on? What do you think? You're not empowered. Prabhupada is giving an example. He's saying Ajamil. What is Ajamil? Qualified Brahmana. Ajamil went to Gurukul, right? Ajamil, a serious education, a serious training, all the sanskaras, everything in place. Sanskaras were empowering, Vedic culture empowering, karma was empowering, association was empowering. Oh, Ajamil was so empowered. And then Ajamil sees this Sudra embracing a prostitute and this and that in the forest and all kinds of things. He is seeing, and he falls down. Now, what about us? And Prabhupada is explaining this. He said, what about us? We are not as qualified, and we live in worse circumstances. Boy embraces girl. My God, if you fall down over that, then what chance do you have in this age? Right? I mean, the things you have to see, the things that are going on in public, in broad daylight, in advertisements, in movies, that somehow or other you see, or when you surf the web, oops! Yeah? Want to download that free software from that special site, you don't want to pay? Well, you can do so, but a little pornography may slip in, and then, yes, one click, One click further and it opens up a whole thing. And then you're hooked. And clicking again and again. And going to that machine and clicking. It's common also in our movement. So the empowerment is there, but we can see the mind can, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, can create obstacles and again block that empowerment to a degree. So one must be very careful. But the empowerment is certainly there. When Ajamil fell down, why are we not falling down? Because we are protected by Lord Chaitanya. We are chanting the holy name. Ajamil also, well, chanted later, but when he chanted, Ajamil did better. When he started to consciously chant the holy name, after he had seen the Yamadutas, there was some time when he constantly chanted. When he chanted the holy name consciously, then he did better. But we chant the holy name with the added mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who's blocking Maya. Cupid shoots so many arrows. The Lord is blocking us. So the empowerment is that immediately there is the protection of the Lord. So empowerment we should not see in this age as we become so powerful. If we start to think immediately, oh, I've become extremely powerful by this process, like Dhruva became so powerful and that he controlled his breath, he could push down the earth with his toe, he could hold his breath and everyone choked. I mean, that was pretty powerful. I have not been able to do that yet. Only I choke when I hold my breath. So, and Dhruva didn't eat also, so quite empowered. No, we cannot expect this in this age of Kali. So, our empowerment is simply thereby taking shelter. Therefore, spiritual life means taking shelter. It's nothing about becoming very great, very advanced. No, rather one always sees himself in a humble state of mind, as fallen, as dependent, and we turn to Krishna again and again in various ways. And that's it. The empowerment simply comes from connecting now. It doesn't come from some special instruction. Do you have a special instruction for me? Yes, chant Hare Krishna. Anything personal? Yes, chant Hare Krishna. It's very personal. I mean, some sort of like a confidential instruction for me. Yes, chant Hare Krishna. Something like specific for me. Yes, chant Hare Krishna. It's specific for you. Yes, exactly. No, it's something that will help me in my life. Yes, chant Hare Krishna. It will help you in your life, in your specific circumstances. But what about my marriage? Yes, chant Hare Krishna. It will fix it. What about my children? What do I do with them? Chant Hare Krishna. With them, together. Start a kirtan party at home. Yeah? You know, go on Harinam with the whole family. Yeah? Have lots of kids and you have your own Sankirtan party. What more do you want? That's what I call empowerment. So, taking shelter is, we become empowered in the ability to take shelter. And the Acharyas and the Lord have created many arrangements for us, many more than for Dhruva Maharaj, because we are more weak in our determination. But it comes to the point where we go, oh, do I have to really put my hand in this bead bag? These beads are so heavy. Can I really lift them? Yes. if we would touch our beads as often as our phone, things like this, in the midst of all this distraction we are living. So we can't be very renounced. Dhruva was very renounced. All right, we can have yukta vairagya. Take the things of the material world and engage it in the service of the Lord. But be careful. Be careful. That's especially for preaching. For preaching, use everything. But in our own life, to start using these things is dangerous. The same thing. The phone that you use to, upload things to. The other day, someone, it was Vishnu Jan here, in London, was making a little video clip of our Harinam, and in 4 days there were 5 million hits. So 5 million hits, you go like, whoa, that's a lot of people. 5 million people watch this video, right? So I never had 5 million hits before. That was definitely, I got hit. 5 million. So I started to think, well, sometimes I think of throwing my phone in the water, right? Somewhere in a pond, because the thing is just too invasive. But that day I thought, well, 5 million hits, that's something. How can I not use such a thing in the service of the Lord if we can reach 5 million people? No. So it has its application. But in personal life, watch out. How about, try not to touch the thing before you've chanted your rounds. Can you do that? It's very difficult. I don't know if you have seen the marshmallow test, but the marshmallow test was a famous psychological experiment where, you know what a marshmallow is in Serbia? You do know marshmallows? Yeah? Sort of. In America especially, marshmallows are big. It's a big thing.
What is it?
It is a sweet, Maharaj. It is an American sweet. It is like a big round ball which is fluffy and very sweet at the same time. No, Maharaj, marshmallow. Maharaj, you have not tasted a marshmallow. Maharaj, you have really missed out on a part of world culture here. Even in Serbia they know what a marshmallow is. Anyhow, so what happens is this. There is a child taken by some psychologist into a room, and there's a table and a chair, and on the table there's a plate with a marshmallow on it. The kid knows what marshmallows are. The kid, boing, a marshmallow. And then the psychologist says, yes, it's for you. You can have it. The kid is like, whoa, almost ready to jump on it. Then he says, but wait. If you wait just a few minutes, then you can have 2. So now this child is like, do you want 2? Yes, I want 2. Okay, you want 2. Then you wait. And then, I'll go out of the room and I'll be back in a few minutes and you just wait, and when I come back, you can have 2. So the kid is like, and you see these children, there's a candid camera filming those things. You see these kids like, one goes like down. Another one is like licking the marshmallow. Another one is like lifting up the marshmallow and taking a little bit from the bottom. And one girl, she takes the plate and pushes it away as far as possible. Yeah? I mean, that was sort of intelligent. It's like, makes sense. Anyway, it's absolutely great. You can find on YouTube Marshmallow Test. I recommend you watch it because spiritual life, we have our marshmallow test, if you know what I'm talking about. And then, yeah, some kids, they don't wait at all, right? They just immediately devour the marshmallow. As soon as the therapist leaves, they just like animalistically take the thing. So the interesting thing of the test is that the psychologist didn't just do the test with many kids, but kept records of who he did the test with, and then 20 years later checked these people out and went to and checked out how their lives developed. And those who did well in the marshmallow test, in controlling their senses, they did much better in their life. They had better careers, they had more success, and so on. So anyway, so we have our marshmallow test, where we have to become empowered, we have to really withdraw the senses from the sense objects and take shelter. If we take half-hearted shelter, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, one big bag, one phone, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Obviously, and so many other varieties of being distracted. No, focus. Focus is required. As Dhruva needed focus, that's still the same for us weak Kali Yuga residents who have no willpower. Still, we have to focus. Therefore, we do it together, because alone it's so difficult. Therefore, here in Beograd, it will be good if you find places to come together. Because here, it's everything, everyone is very much on his own, then it's very difficult. So this collective energy is helping the weak-minded persons to become more empowered. Then, to apply themselves more to taking shelter, shelter of the holy name, shelter of the books. Don't just buy the books, don't just put them on the shelf, actually read them. Yeah? Make it a point. Make some regulated time for reading. Somehow or other read Prabhupada's books. If you don't, it is simple. So the process of empowerment, let me summarize it and conclude it, is first of all, as soon as we connect with the mercy of the Vaishnavas and the spiritual master, we are empowered. So don't tell me I don't feel empowered. We are tremendously empowered. How can we follow four regulated principles? I don't know about all of you. If you, your whole life, followed four regulated principles, I didn't. And not only was I not following them, I could not follow them. I couldn't control my senses. I could not. I wanted to, but all the time it got out of hand, right? It is only, I surprised myself. I mean, look, how I became a sannyasi, I don't know. People who would have known me before said, how you became a sannyasi, I don't know. It is said in the Bhagavatam and in Chaitanya Charitamrita that different Vaishnavas fly in the sky of transcendental realization on different levels, right? Like birds flying on different levels. Well, there are some birds that are not even flying, they just walk, right? Like chickens, right? And I tell you, somehow or other, I am a flying chicken. So don't ask me how, right? But that's the situation. I'm a flying chicken. Don't ask me how all this is possible. But it is possible. So all of us are empowered. Don't worry about that. But worry about becoming more empowered. But don't say, I don't feel empowered. I mean, we are in. Anybody who even sniffs at this movement becomes empowered. You know, what to speak of like one who makes a conscious connection with this movement and a commitment to this movement definitely becomes empowered. I've used a lot of time. I got carried away by the entertainment of the marshmallow. But any comments, any questions? Yeah, there's another one.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your insightful lecture. I wanted to just ask this one question. From where did Srila Prabhupada take following the 4 rules and regulations as we know them? And in my understanding, but please broaden the understanding or correct it, it's that I think you touched on it. It's the 4 pillars of Dharma.
Adharma,
4 pillars of Adharma, which are, how do you say, corrected by following 4 rules and regulations. For instance, to be violent, you don't eat any meat. So for human efforts to be successful into the, to go successful in the spiritual direction, Dharma is essential.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, you said already, yes, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not require 4 rules in this initiation process? I'm asking.
Yeah. So, Srila Prabhupada, indeed, I mentioned it, but maybe didn't elaborate enough on that because I was looking at my watch. And but basically, yes, it is explained that there are the 4 types of adharma, and these 4 types of adharma, the activities of gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, meat eating, and so on, they are giving shelter to Kali, and by correcting them, by following these principles, we can develop again devotional qualities which you are referring to, such as by refraining from meat eating, compassion can again return, by giving up illicit sex, cleanliness, that means internal and external, so also internally cleansed in one's thought process. When we're addicted to illicit sex, then externally one can be very devotional, but internally it's still the thoughts are just constantly emerging. And so we'll have to go through that process, following these principles, and for some time the old habits are still there. So we're lacking in compassion, we're lacking in socham, in pure thinking, we're lacking in intoxication. It destroys all a sense of tapas. So we become unable to perform any austerity. The smallest austerity is already too big. Everything is an austerity. For one who is, so since most of us have a history with intoxication, there is that inherent weakness where we are not so able to perform austerity. So in this way, we become purified by these regulative principles. Now, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was giving initiation, he was not approaching the ceremony in the same way as Prabhupada did by asking and how many rounds are you promising to chant, and how many principles are you promising to follow. Rather, he set these standards in his general preaching. And therefore, the four regulative principles were established as standards of the Gaudiya Math, and as how one should live. So that was a standard that was accepted, but it wasn't specifically like in a legalistic way, like a contract spoken at the time of initiation. And obviously culturally people were very much aware of that because of the Indian culture at the time. As far as rounds, also Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said anyone who doesn't chant 64 rounds is fallen, based on the principle that Chaitanya Bhagavat stated, where Lord Chaitanya said he would not accept any offerings from anyone who doesn't chant 64 rounds. So therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would say one should chant 64 rounds, and at least 4. Therefore we see that in the Gaudiya Math sometimes initiations are given at 4 rounds and not like at 16 rounds, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta didn't like make anyone make a formal vow to chant so many rounds, but he clarified it in his speech. Like I know that in some Gaudiya Maths, on a day like Janmashtami, when there's so much service, some of the devotees they may not chant that day; they may just do service. Yeah? Whereas we are like sort of doing all the service and late nights struggling to sort of chant these rounds. So Prabhupada very much fixed that. That was his particular approach. And which of course makes sense because the Western mind is such like unless we promise something very clearly, we may not do it. We really need that kind of very clearly defined duty. Whereas Indian people from Indian culture, Bengali culture, at the time were more inclined to do what is proper, and everybody knew what is proper. The other day, I was in discussion with Rasamandal Prabhu from England, Prabhupada disciple, and we were talking about, at one point, it came up that Bhakti Charu Maharaj was very quickly given initiation and also sannyas by Prabhupada, and then some devotees had said, oh, so quick, what if he falls down? And then Prabhupada said, well, if he will fall down, he will at least fall down to the mode of goodness. Which was, it was nice, but it shows like, that culture itself is different than our culture of passion and ignorance. And I hope that sort of answers the question. Blood number.
Thank you, very class. When Giriraj Maharaj went to see Prabhupada in the last days of Prabhupada's physical presence with us, Prabhupada asked him, how will this movement go on after my disappearance? And Giriraj Maharaj said, Prabhupada will chant Hare Krishna. And he may have said other things. Prabhupada said, no. Organization and intelligence. So how does that fit into the lecture you're giving about empowerment?
Well, I think community. I put in the community of Vaishnavas. And so the community of Vaishnavas requires organization. I think exactly how to do that we haven't figured out in a full sense. I think that if I look at that, I think then we have to still grow. We're still very young in terms as a tradition. Sometimes I think like that we have to grow and organize ourselves as a community. Prabhupada, of course, incorporated ISKCON as an institution. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta made a Gaudiya Math. That was the first time that the Gaudiyas had like a formal institution. Prabhupada followed his spiritual master, made a formal institution. Prior to that, Vaishnavas only had a parampara institution, up to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Sankaracharya had a formal institution. The Madhvas had a formal institution, but the Gaudiyas never had until Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And then under Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, it was only a guru with his disciples. So it was really an acharya. But ISKCON is really the first time that we have parallel lines of authority. We've never had it like that before. And how that exactly is going to work, a parampara institution, a organizational institution, I think that's a growing process, and we are growing. I mean, we've grown tremendously since 1977 or even before, and there's more to come. But ultimately, it will have to be an arrangement of organization that is based on inspiration. Sometimes I look at a model that is, on the one hand I look at a legislative model, on the other hand I look at an inspirational model. Legislation is required up to an extent, to protect certain interests, but legislation is mostly not so popular. So legislation has a place, but must be handled with care. Handle with care, it says on the package. Inspiration is obviously the driving force of this movement. Without inspiration, it won't go anywhere, because we're a movement of volunteers. So it looks to me that in this whole organizational development, that the emphasis has to be on, I'm only saying emphasis, has to be on inspiration. And in that way, and we are challenged since Srila Prabhupada left, I think we are greatly challenged to do that. I mean, it's not easy to keep devotees inspired. That is our biggest problem. We attract so many people, many more people now than there were then, right? I mean, so many people are here just in Serbia alone. How to keep all these people inspired to a point that they really make a commitment? I don't know. People are inspired to come to this camp, but how can we get the people who leave the camp inspired to just go for another year and really dedicate themselves, take shelter? How to do this? I don't know. I try all kinds of things. I dance like mad. I do this, I do that. I'm trying, break my head on it, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Pray to Prabhupada, pray to all these deities, that somehow or other the inspiration will carry people forward to make a commitment to keep on taking shelter. Anyway, that's my 5 cents worth, which is not worth much these days. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Time's up. Sorry, there were other questions. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada.